So this video shows how to fix a defect within Civil 3D. Right now, Autodesk doesn't know the difference between width and height. And so if we have a rectangle, just to let you know, maybe someone from Autodesk is watching this, width is the distance across for, in this case, like a structure. And so I'm just going to denote that as W. And then for height, it is measured in this direction, and I'll denote it with H. So right now, Autodesk is not acknowledging that there's a difference between width and height, and this results in a pipe network not being placed within the correct location if you pick a box culvert. So the red line up here is my profile surface, which is this one, which is flat at the elevation of 50. This profile I've lowered down 3 feet, so that's going to be my cover. And this is where the Civil 3D pipe rules in Civil 3D 2023 put the box culvert. If I go into my pipe properties and look at my rules, I can see that my minimum cover is 3 feet. And so I would expect this point here to be up here for this 3 foot to be applied correctly. So in this video, I'll go through and show how we can fix this, because Autodesk expects all their customers to do this step if they use box culverts, and they want the pipe network rules to be correct because they can acknowledge that they have a defect in their code, that height is not equal to width for a box culvert. So I'm going to go ahead and save this drawing so I can have this as my test drawing. And I'm just going to right click and copy that full file path. You can find the Civil 3D pipe network rules within the sample folder, Civil 3D API, and the C3D pipe network rules folder. You don't want to work out of this folder because it's read only. And if I go over here, you can see that it's in the C program files Autodesk folder. So all I've done is taken this folder and copied it over to the Autodesk folder in my documents. And that's going to be the pipe network rules that I'm going to be working from. So to open this up, I can open it up in Visual Studio. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that path and then go to open and open that project or solution. And so these are the pipe rules, and it should be the same pipe rules that Civil 3D uses within the product. So you're able to modify the code as you need. And so the first thing I want to do is make sure that my compile location is correct, because right now it's putting it in the bin folder. And it's not going to be the debug bin folder. You're just going to go ahead and hit browse, and we can go navigate to that folder. And it's going to be ProgramData Autodesk Civil C3D 2023 in ENU, and I can select that folder. If I open up in File Explorer, I can go find that. So here are the legacy VBA rules, and then here's the DLL for the pipe network rules. And I want to overwrite this because this is the one that ships with Civil 3D, and I want to fix the defect and have it work for box culverts. And so I'm going to have it compiled to that location. That way, when Civil 3D runs, it's going to automatically grab my rebuilt code. On the debug tab, I want to have it open up Civil 3D. So I can then go find Civil 3D or the AutoCAD.exe. So it'll run Civil 3D. And I want to give it my test drawing here, so it'll open up my test drawing automatically. And so when Visual Studio starts to debug, it's going to open up AutoCAD or Civil 3D, because that's what I've run it last as. And it's going to open up this drawing. And you could add whatever command line arguments you use in your environment. So now I need to fix the issue. And the issue is in cover and slope. I also need to fix my references because right now it's pointing to the wrong location. So I'm going to go back to my project, go to references, and I can see that it can't find those locations. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that folder or folders. And so it's going to be Program Files, Autodesk, AutoCAD 2023. And I'm going to go ahead and select that folder and then add it. And then the 3D, and then ACA, which is architecture. And ACDB is the AutoCAD 2023 folder. ACMGD is that same folder. AEC base MGD is going to be the Civil 3D folder, and the AECCDB MGD. No, I had that backwards. So this one is the Civil 3D folder. And then the AEC base managed is the ACA folder, which is architecture, which Civil 3D is built on top of. And then the top two files are within the AutoCAD folder because they're AutoCAD related. So then I can hit OK, and it's going to go ahead and add those references, and now my errors go away. So I can go back to the cover and slope rule and look for the issue. So it's going to go get the upstream structure, read only. So it's going to go grab that structure. It's going to set up the elevation from structure drop. And then it has two methods: apply without surface, which is not the one I want to use. And there's an option to apply for surface. And so this is going to apply the cover and slope rules when there is a surface to be applied to. And that gets done within the utilities for some reason. Because this code is used in two places. And I can tell because Visual Studio is telling me that this is used in two locations. So it wants to apply for the surface. So it's going to get the length of the pipe, the last elevation, getting it from the network state. It's getting the flow direction. It's getting the minimum cover from the pipe rule. It's saying, is that valid? It's finding the elevation. It's doing a bunch of stuff. And here we get our first issue, right? So outer diameter and width. So if I have a circular pipe, right, it's okay because it's going to grab the diameter. But if I have a box culvert, right, and I'm worried about cover, right, I'm going up to the surface, right, I want to make sure that this distance is correct. So for width, right, in the beginning, I know Autodesk doesn't know this, but this distance is width, and it has no bearing on what this calculation is, right? I want to figure out what H is, right? So I want the height, I want the outer height, and not the width, right? I mean, this should be just basic geometry, right, that an elementary school person should understand. But for some reason, Autodesk won't acknowledge that width is not equal to H. I mean, not sure how ignorant you have to be not to get this concept. So I need to go in and fix all these instances for outer diameter or width and check to see if it's a circular pipe, in which case this value is the one I want, or return the outer height when it's a box culvert or a different shape. So pretty easy. Now I could put some code here that would do that check that I need for height or width, but that gets kind of messy and gets kind of distracting. And so since there isn't an outer diameter or width or height, I'm going to have to create one of my own. And the way I like to do it is just to add a new folder within the project and just call it extensions. And then I like to add a module that is going to be what are called extensions that allow you to create your own methods on other people's objects. So I'm going to call this one pipe extensions and then hit add. And so here I have my pipe extensions. you want to add an attribute called extensions, and it may give you an error message, and we can go ahead and import the compiler services. And in this case, it's going to be a public function. And I want to get diameter or height. I'm going to pass the pipe. And that's going to return a double value. So here I want to return either the diameter or the height. And to do that, I can use a switch or a select case in this case, since I'm in Visual Studio, VB. And that's going to be cross-sectional shape. And so I have some options. So the first one is circular. And in that case, I can return the same value that is in the Autodesk code. And then I can have a case else for everything else. If I go look at this definition, I have circular, a custom shape, undefined, elliptical, egg-shaped, horizontal elliptical, and arched. I have no idea what these other return, and I don't really have shapes that do the other ones. So I guess I'll do rectangular and then send the other values for the other ones. And so you'd want to come in and change the code based on your swept shape type. And so now it's going to return the outer height if it's rectangular, which is the value that I want, right? I want diameter or height. And then if it's a different shape that I don't know how to handle, it's going to return the bad data. I imagine that some of the other shapes will also need to be changed to outer height. Unfortunately, if it's circular pipe, I believe the outer height returns an exception. And in that case, you'd then be introducing another defect within your product. So that's why I'm using the switch case here and not changing it to outer height directly. So I've saved that file. I can go ahead and close it. I can go ahead and close this. And then I can come back to my code and find my outer diameter or width. And I can change it to my new extension method of get diameter or height. And so now I've fixed that location. I'm going to go ahead and find all the locations where it's used in the code and see if those other locations also need this change. So I don't need to do in this two because those are the two I just added. Here I'm in the set elevation from structure drop. So I'm not seeing any code here that says, hey, are you width or are you height? Right? It's just saying, hey, we have an inner radius, right? It's assuming that no one uses box culverts. I mean, that's just crappy. And here there's a check to see if the double map contains the parameters for the last or the outer. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. This one might be wrong, but but I believe it also needs to get changed. So this looks like the same thing. Here we're applying the rule implement. I'm going to say that also needs to be changed. I'm guessing this one needs to be changed too. Guessing that needs to be changed too. I mean, I'm not quite sure why they're getting the radius of the pipe. Yeah, it's going to inner radius of last pipe. Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to drop it wrong. So let's go look to see if there's any other instances. Yep. Wow, there's lots of instances. Right, so here we're getting the sample, right? We want to calculate the slope for with minimum cover. If I have a box culvert, it's going to use that value. So another location where it's using the wrong value. And so that should fix this issue. So then I can hit the start to debug. Looks like I've got an hour. So it's not letting me put that file in there, in that location. So I'll go ahead and open up that location. And I'm just going to go ahead and go into properties. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that. And then for security, I'm going to go ahead and add and allow all the users access to it. So let's go see if we can unlock the file directly, because that doesn't seem to have worked. Let's see if that works. All right, let's see if that works. So that appears to have worked. So now we get to wait for Civil 3D to open. Oh, I forgot to close Civil 3D in this case, so I'll go ahead and close that. So when the loader lock shows up, you can just open up the exception settings and just type loader lock. This is just saying, Visual Studio saying that AutoCAD sucks and it's taking too long to load. This is probably something wrong, but in this case, it's just the way Civil 3D and Autodesk want everything to work. And so it'll continue to open up Civil 3D. Eventually. Someday. All right, so then we can just check to see if it works, right? So I want to reapply my rules. So here's where it is. I can see it's in the wrong location. If you go to the Modify tab, you can click on the pipe network, and then you can find the Apply rules here. And so I can go ahead and select my first structure, my last structure. I can press Enter. And now my pipe now goes to the correct location, or just shy of it. But it's a lot better than what it was. And this has taken me like 40 minutes to do. Wow. So the only other stuff that I'd want to check is the drops at the structures. So I'd want to go into my structure properties, go into my rules, edit my basic rules. So I've got the drop. So that's good. And so I can apply the rules again. Oops. And so then I can see what my drop is. So I can go into my structure properties. And I can see that my drop is correct. And so that is that.